Hello everyone and welcome back to Genshin Impact. Thank you for joining me today. A few of the comments in the last video kind of a little bit cryptic, kind of hinted that something very interesting may happen in the next video or two. So let's dive in and find out what's going on. We're playing the Archon Quest Act 5, the Fontaine Archon Quest Act 5. We're on the hunt for Farina, and we think that she may have hidden herself around here somewhere in Poisson. So we just have a little look around, see if we can find her. Looks like she may be over this way somewhere. Oh, okay. There she is. Well, that's easy. She does not look happy.
That's Farina, right over there. She really is here all on her own.
Shh, stay quiet for now. That's going to be difficult for Pyroman. I'm sure you can do it, come on.
Should I just give up? This is all meaningless. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out.
Oh, she really is feeling it. She often, I mean, so far she's kind of put on this facade. She doesn't seem like, I don't know, I can't really explain what it is I'm trying to say here. She's like, not that she doesn't care, but she's above everything, and she kind of, you almost feel like she doesn't really get what's going on. But that's obviously not true. She knows a lot more about what's happening than she lets on, I think.
I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over?
Farina.
Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just us.
Yeah, see, yeah, she suddenly changes.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects, come to kneel and beg for my forgiveness.
Yes, as soon as she realised she was being watched, her whole demeanour completely changed.
Farina,
It's all an act.
you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were, disturbing my enjoyment of the arts? They even dare to tout their Archon. I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marish Chaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them too.
Stop trying to act tough, Farina. You're actually beyond devastated right now, aren't you?
Of course not.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
I also think it's like crazy that citizens of Fontaine are like going after the Archon. It just, what do they hope to achieve?
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the line because they haven't been able to meet me in person, aren't they? That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Farina just ran off. Quick, we have to catch up with her.
Okay, I think we need to kind of get past these walls that Farina's putting up, and we really do need to see the real Farina. Because, yeah, everything up until now has been an act.
This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up to you.
this place.
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine, fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
Oh, is this going to be a trap? Because we were basically trying to trick her, aren't we?
Paimon's exhausted.
I'm so tired. I totally thought they had caught me.
Yeah, I've just noticed. So, what are these buttons? These are new, aren't they? It's just the oh, it hides things. Oh, that's quite good. How do you get it back in? Just like that. Oh, you can't skip. Okay.
No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
This place is not what I'd call soundproof. You might want to lower your voice to stay hidden.
You're right.
Yep, that's a good girl.
Ooh, I don't know about calling an Archon a good girl. That seems a bit disrespectful.
What's happening? The ground's shaking. Is it an earthquake?
Another disaster just struck, I suspect.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Novelette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation should go a lot smoother this time.
Yeah, I hope you're right. But the people of Poisson, they've already...
Has Farina finally reached her limit? Now that she's talking about her actual feelings, she's starting to look far less stiff. You begin to talk amongst yourselves as Farina slowly calms down.
It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Teyvat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways too to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled.
But even then, you still haven't given up, right?
Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free.
But that would also mean that all hope would disappear.
Indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial prophecy?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest just now.
Yeah. We're running out of time. We can't just go back to square one like this. I have to get more information out of her. Farina, you might not have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone, your people are more than willing to share your burden with you.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it with me. I'm what you call a witness.
A witness? Yes. I've heard that you came to Teyvat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Teyvat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case...
I mean, I don't really think we'd be called a spectator at this point. The amount of interference that we've done in all the things that have been going on in Teyvat, we're definitely more than a spectator. There's no time left. Please, Farina, just spit it out. Oh dear. Yeah, it was a trap. I thought it was. Did it let her out a bit too soon? Should we not waited for her to actually start talking?
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice to trial?
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god?
Yeah, we've seen that she does not seem confident in her combat ability. She's backed down from every physical challenge that's ever been thrown at her. She's got to be more capable than she's letting on, though, surely.
I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not always an indication of surrender.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly disappointed in myself.
Well, this is different. The axe has dropped a little bit.
But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve.
And it's back again.
I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice! This time, I will protect you. Applaud and rejoice! One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words, This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine! The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Woohoo! He's excited.
Now we're making history!
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her crimes?
I mean, there's no denying that she is talented in showmanship.
Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time, right?
Alright then. Who will be my opponent in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Teyvat, my accuser and fated opponent.
We were so close to getting her to tell us the truth, and it still turned out like this in the end. But yeah, that's what I was saying. If Linny hadn't have opened up the contraption, if we'd just waited a few more minutes, you could probably have got it out of her. It's okay though, as long as we can defeat Fiona in court, we still have a chance to figure everything out.
Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins. Just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates.
Cool little thing I can do, get little screenshots for thumbnails and stuff by hiding the. It's a shame it still keeps your user ID there. It's a bit annoying.
They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean... the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Aranias. Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a lot of work for all of us.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Sorry about that. We deceived you back there.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage.
No, you guessed wrong.
Oh?
My mission was to give you one last chance. We hope that you share your secret with us before the magic box arrived onto the stage.
Is that so? Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance. It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Yeah, the only thing we can do now is to judge the Hydro Archon. Still, I can't help but to be a little bothered by the conversation earlier. What did Furina want to say to me right before we arrived on the stage? Yeah, Lily, should just left it just that little bit longer.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte!
It's just like waving to people in the crowd when you're in the middle of conducting a trial.
Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine! So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument!
It's a super practical gift. I've never thought of using it this way.
Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
Okay, what is this one?
You defeated the Hydro
God.
Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right.
Okay, so Medicus involved in the midst of Linny and Lynette's first performance at the Grand Opera House, though they were cleared of the accusations leveled against them. Identities as agents for House of the Hearth were revealed.
I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. I guess you could also see this as a happy coincidence.
Okay, let's kind of skip through this. We've been off through this.
This is the first time Monsieur Nervillette had a difference of opinion with the Oratrice. Even the Hydro Archon can't figure it out. A Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. Her instinct must mean something. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene personally will always be a source of professional regret, I think. According to Monsieur Nervillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the Primordial Sea at that time.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything more about this whale. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a like a weekly boss or something, which we've not actually come across yet. So I'll be interesting to see that when we do.
I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something surreal happens to you.
Okay.
The
So how's that
prosecution
gonna play
and the
into
defense
things?
are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervillette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. as the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon.
Oh, a voice.
Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Oh, interesting. That's something I have been thinking, like, because she presents herself as the Archon, but we've never seen any demonstration of what she's capable of. She backs down from any physical challenge, she backs down from any challenge. She puts on all this front. Yeah, maybe she's not the Archon.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
I mean, maybe she is, and they're just using this to kind of bait her out into some action, but yeah, where is this going?
I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I mean, you think that would be an easy one to deny if you were the Archon.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
Well, presumably that's what this trial is going to lay out for you. Let's be patient.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's happened as a dramatic spectacle and move on with our lives. What do you say to that?
Huh. An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
People only see you as their Archon because that's their long-held belief.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am?
Yeah, so everybody since the moment they've been born believed her to be the Archon. She must have been around longer than anyone alive. Therefore, she's definitely not just a normal human, because she would have to, she'd be a lot older than she is. Something special about her.
And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
Basically what I just said. Well, I think carefully. What do we know to be special about Farina exactly? Oh god, here we go. Choose the... Okay, what is special about her? Jeez, okay, let's look through these things here. So what have we got? Irrelevance, irrelevance. Oh, okay, we can select Charles' conviction. They never believe Charles to be innocent. Your Ortiz judged him as guilty at the end. And Farina didn't know why, so she didn't know why. That could be, maybe that's that. During a diplomatic meeting with the Knave, she revealed that she had already probed Farina on her own and believes it's possible that not only is Farina not really the Archon, but that she's actually afflicted with some sort of curse. Oh, that sounds like the one we want then. And the other ones are possibly irrelevant. And we've got this one. N communicates with you by connecting your consciousness. She believes the prophecy will certainly happen, but that she needn't give up all hope. No, definitely this one.
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
Paim's going to be getting well into this, can't we? You can tell. Such as a curse.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
Doesn't matter who gave us the information. What matters is the veracity of the claim.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
Neverlet sensed it too, huh?
So Furina, instead of an Archon, could you just be a cursed human?
Lady Furina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them. It's not impossible.
Okay, I'm reading them over.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the indemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
Wait, that one trial proved the opposite. Furina actually has no control over the Oratrice at all. So that would be the one about child, right? Or was it this one? Okay, what's this one? It turns out the Fontaines can be dissolved by water from the primordial sea. Over the years, Volsher kidnapped and dissolved many young girls for his experiments, tried to find a way to bring back his wife who had been dissolved. I don't think that's really the thing. It's this one, because the Oratrice judged him as guilty in the end, and even Furina didn't know why. It's got to be this one.
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, you should have come up with a good explanation for that by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
Lady Furina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
Seems fairly obvious though, isn't it?
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Furina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
God, she's so angry.
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now you're really losing me.
So who is the real Hydro Archon?
It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
Sure, we can put the Oratrice aside for now. Then, Miss Farina, could you give us a brief demonstration of your powers as an Archon? This is what I've been wanting all along. We've not seen any demonstration yet.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Yes, she really doesn't seem like she wants to do this. A brief demonstration of your power over Hydro should be quite harmless. Surely an Archon can at least match the capacities of a human with a vision. Yes, we've still not even seen this yet, have we? I mean, she does have a vision at least. She should be able to do something even if she was human.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium! Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Okay, that was a good response. Yeah, she does have a vision though, doesn't she? Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the character because I didn't get to pull her. I didn't wish. Or I did wish, but I didn't get her, so I haven't been able to look at her properly.
Isn't that a huge stretch?
I don't know. I mean, it sounds plausible.
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
Fair point. Oh, she's losing it.
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar. I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Shouldn't you want to believe in me? Please? You've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And then all of our ancestors? Ever since they were born?
Enough. That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is?
I would say that's not really relevant. I mean, it would help the prosecution's case, I guess, to be able to have an answer for this, but it's not really important.
If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually the real deal?
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? Seems like she really doesn't want to give up.
What's the saying? Absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence? So just because we can't prove there's another Hydro Archon does not mean that she is one. If we can't prove that she isn't the Archon, we can try to prove that she is just a human, and if she's only human... Okay, what is the one that she's human? What else have we got? Maybe dissolved. What other options here? Okay, so the entrance to Primordial Sea is sealed beneath the Forbidden Zone in the Fortress of Meropine, and recently the Primordial Sea is nearly broken out. It was only temporarily pushed back by Nouvelette's power, so maybe because Nouvelette came to the rescue rather than Farina, because he's got power she hasn't, I don't know, maybe. Navia falling into the seawater, I don't see how that's relevant. And then this one, Fontaines can be dissolved by water. Don't see how that's relevant. Okay, let's go for this one then. So my thoughts are, because Nouvelette solved it by using his power, and he's demonstrated power, Farina didn't come to do it, so maybe that's because she's a human.
That doesn't sound right.
Okay.
Paimon clue can be used as compelling evidence to build our case.
Okay, I mean, I thought that sounded reasonable, but okay, what else have we got? So, murder case unfolds in the midst of Lillian's first performance. Yeah, the cleared of accusations. Don't see how that is relevant to anything. Navia. Well, we've got this one. So these ones they say that are irrelevant. Ones, I mean, okay. Well, what else could it be? Fontaine's dissolve. Maybe it's like they say. Okay, so Fontaine's can be dissolved. So if Farina is the Archon, maybe she wouldn't be dissolved. So let's try that.
It has been established that all Fontainians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea. And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
Yeah, jump into the water and not get dissolved.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Honestly, I think Legal would tear this trial apart.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time that I'll speak out of turn. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case.
Oh,
but if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontainian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
I mean, it's possible that she's not. I mean, she's been around 500 years. Doesn't mean she's come from Fontaine. You never know. Oh, looks like she's going to go for it. Maybe. She doesn't sound very confident. Farina?
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of guilt.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word. It really does seem like she's quite terrified of it. That could only mean...
What's going on? Is she really planning to... that's not what we thought she would...
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's one way out. I mean, if she is just human and not the Archon, she could just go for it and just be done with it. Oh, that would be terrible.
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Oh, she's gone for it.
Hey!
She actually... Oh, it seems like she didn't actually know what the outcome would be here.
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is still here! I haven't been dissolved! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like a normal human who would fall apart as soon as they touch this water! Really? Was this not the most obvious thing in the world?
And I'd say all that really proves is that you're not from Fontaine.
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegewin? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. Let me see. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegewien.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate that she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Thank you, Miss Siegewien. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Well, that's interesting. Was that not fully concentrated? So they... Ooh.
Oh wait, what did she just say? I didn't get dissolved! Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely unexpected might occur, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness.
Okay, but I get it, but that kind of muddies the waters a little bit, because that kind of reaction, hyperventilation and flushing the skin, could just be someone being very nervous. Doesn't necessarily prove any kind of reaction to the water. That a good lawyer could tear that apart, I think.
It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Farina could have...
I can't believe... you...
What's really going on here? Farina can't have known the consequences of touching that water as a human. This is too unlike how she usually acts, and this is actually more important for her to keep up her facade than to save her own life. But hadn't she given up on everything a long time ago?
Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks! What happened just now didn't prove a single thing! Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by the primordial seawater? Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of water?
That is a good point, though, surely.
Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
Oh, yeah, this is kind of going bad for her.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
So Farina doesn't get a chance to respond with her defense? It's kind of harsh.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's too stacked against her now.
Okay, she's going to do something here. It's going to be dramatic. She's actually going to show some power.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty.
Wow.
We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment, of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale. Farina is...
Oh, what's this? Is it going to go against us again?
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
It can't be. Did the Oratrice just declare Farina to be innocent?
No. The Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the death sentence.
Wow. Has I forget now, has it always given out the sentences as well?
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
Yeah, it must have done.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth. How did things escalate this quickly?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Impersonating a god? I mean, maybe, but...
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice.
Oh, that's true.
You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Yeah, oh yeah, when you put it like that, yeah, definitely not. What's more strange is, instead of Farina, the Oratrice rendered judgment on the Hydro Archon.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Oh, this is crazy.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
You missed it.
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me will always be top priority.
With the help of some other Fatui, Fremine brings a stone slate.
That the first prophecy slate?
Oh, he's found it.
Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then... doesn't that mean I've come too late? Oh no. Father will be disappointed in me.
Don't worry, the mystery hasn't been resolved yet. It's still not too late for you to shine.
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and confirm their contents.
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
Oh, this looks like the previous Hydro Archon releasing her divine power, turning the Oceaners into human beings.
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
An association between the contents of the slates and the events in real life.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Paimon will do her best to help you remember.
Oh, it's going to be another one of these little things to pick out the dream bubbles, is it? Oh, okay, right. So select to check the descriptions of the stone slates to extract key information from them. You can find scenarios related to the stone slates contents in the instance recorded in the interview notebook. There you can verify said content. As the verification process continues, the fountain water level in the menu interface will rise. When you have finished verifying all the stone slates, the truth behind the prophecy shall be revealed. The real events related to the prophecies or the prophecy slates.
The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, then perhaps this process can be reversed as well. The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not if.
Okay, the stone slates in the ruins showing prophecy describe a history of the future. The first piece that was originally missing and found by Fremele seems to show the former Hydro Archon using its divine power to turn oceans into people. Verify truth. Okay, so it turns out Fontaines can be dissolved in water by the primordial sea. Okay, maybe that one would work. I'm not very good at these. All ones I've done previously, I've always done terribly. I've selected the wrong things all the time. Let's see if I can do it better this time. This is going to be a much longer video. I don't know if there's a really good point to end this, so let's just keep on going. Make it a long one. Why not? Yeah, that one. So the interest of primordial sea is still beneath the forbidden zone. I think it's probably that first one. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here. Okay, let's try this one. So it turns out that fontaines can be dissolved in water from the primordial sea. Oh, hold on. Verify. Yep.
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontainians can be dissolved in primordial seawater. And the first stone slate tells us that long ago the Hydro Archon used her power to turn Oceanids into humans. This might be the reason that Fontainians can dissolve.
Okay, got it. Okay, next one. So the prophecy slate. The stone slates in the ruins shows prophecy described. Oh yeah, let's just read the blue bit. It shows Celestia floating in the sky and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together, but the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. This one I'm not so sure. Okay, so brought down judgment upon them. The authors judged him as guilty, but we didn't know why. Maybe so the judgment may be faulty. That could be something. Let's see this one. What about this one? N communicated with you by connecting your consciousness. She believes the prophecy will certainly happen, but that you needn't give up all hope. I don't think that was really. I think maybe this one. So that because I was talking about judgment, and this was a judgment, but it was a weird, broken judgment.
That doesn't sound quite right.
Come on.
Let's think about this some more.
None of these sound right. I don't enjoy these because they're so confusing. Okay. Okay, so the entrance to the primordial sea is sealed beneath the forbidden zone, and also Nouvelette sealed it away. But the judgment comes from down. From up above, but it's actually coming from below. That sounds really stretched out. This one I think we'll have later on. Maybe this one? I don't really see how that relates. prophecy will happen, but don't give up all hope. Maybe because they're... No, I didn't think it did. Okay, fine. Let's go with the other one then. Let's go with this one. So I'm saying that the judgment comes from the heavens, but it's actually coming from below. That doesn't sound... Well, what's that? Okay, this one. Hydro Archon's guilty.
Perhaps
Fine.
what is about to take place has all happened before. The true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervilette mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates.
Yeah, I don't see the link to that at all. I don't... they're so vague, these things. Okay, anyway, let's not get too grumpy, let's carry on. Shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea, surrounded by many people. Well, Navia fell into the sea, and she got out again.
It's not
that one
as
makes sense.
simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The
that's
stone
right.
slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing?
Okay, and then lastly, it shows a scene that's basically identical to that described in the prophecy circulating throughout the Fontaine. Fontaines will eventually be dissolved into the sea, and the Hydro Archon will sit alone on her throne and weep. Well, this one. She believes prophecy will suddenly happen, but you needn't give up all hope.
That doesn't sound quite right.
It sounds right to me.
Think about this.
Okay, shush. Okay, one of these two then. So maybe it's this one?
That doesn't
No. Fine, that's my only other option.
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontainians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea, but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an oceanid. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin was actually Fontaine's original sin. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness, and was forced to take part in a trial meant to make her stay. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The stone slate's content can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truths should come to light.
Okay, we did it. Well, I got 2 first try, the other 2 were a bit messy, but not too bad.
Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So that's how you can make sense of it! But then it feels like we're going to have to share some truly shocking revelations.
Let's hear them.
The first slate reveals that Fontainians are not real humans.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontainians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontainians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of oceanids.
Indeed.
The second slate reveals that the crime by the Hydro Archon was her creation of Fontainians from oceanids.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most unexpected of all.
As for the third slate, I'm still convinced that it should come after the fourth slate.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate?
The fourth slate depicts the fulfillment of the prophecy as it's already widely known.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If everything goes well, we should finally be informed of the unadulterated truth.
Well? Did you get it?
Give him a chance.
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanid's blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing.
That seems like a very common kind of response to hearing stuff you don't want to hear.
Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct.
So they are in the right order? What is the 3rd slate supposed to represent then?
A key point of the visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids.
Maybe it's representing the trial that we just had.
They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Trials and Justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice.
It can't be.
Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
What should we do?
Oh, I don't know. It feels like there's no way out of this.
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Is this what it feels like to be a prisoner of fate?
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before.
Yeah, I have. Wait, could it be? Oh, I've got another one of these to do.
This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
This is going to be a long video. Apologies. You could always watch it in a couple of parts. I don't mind if you come back. Right, let's do this then. Okay, what is the true source of the catastrophe? Okay, so seems the fortress of Meripede has been protecting it is the entrance to the primordial sea. And if they have sealed it once more, just how long will it last? The prophesied disaster will likely spread from here. I've got the same bits of... Okay, so we've got the whale. This one. It's afflicted by a curse. Got a few different bits of things. Just obscurity. Identities. How does any of this relate? How does any of this relate? So, okay, what does it say again? The prophesied disaster will likely spread from here, from the fortress of Meripede. Guilty. Don't see why. Maybe it's because he went to the fortress of Meripede. You try that?
That doesn't sound
cool. Okay. There's a very tenuous link there. So afflicted by some sort of curse. Okay, maybe it's the whale. There we go.
It was both dream and reality.
Oh, is that just... Okay,
if we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
Okay, I think the whale's coming. I don't think Hydra's going to do much to it, Nivelet. I might be able to hold off for a bit. Oh my god. Oh! Charles is back! so cool. And it's gone again.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
That's right. I'd waited. That is also the one that Charles saw when he was young.
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Teyvat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will be...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontainians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Oh, so it's going to want to eat everybody.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontainians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontainians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again, once it's managed to recover its strength?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
It is too late.
What do you mean?
It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated with the sea itself. Even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
Or maybe instead of defeating it, you just want to encourage it to move on.
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe. That's just not fair.
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
After everything, it still turns out like this. You couldn't fight against fate. Wait, but if this is all about fate...
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Teyvat's future. All you need to do is to play your part.
Could it be that even if the prophecy will be fulfilled, there will still be a way to save everyone? Did I miss something? Wait, I forgot about Furina. What was it that she wanted to say to me at that last moment in the giant magic box? What is her real secret? Oh, that was happening.
What's happening with the Oratrice?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Oh, it doesn't hang around, does it?
Furina!
She's just going to accept it.
No, I still need answers.
Okay, who's this?
You.
It's kind of Furina, but...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Furina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this confounding conundrum. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit. leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity, and the human counterpart I left behind, I named Furina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her.
Nice.
All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon, alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydra Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Furina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it.
An apology? That seems a little bit light, should you say?
It's been 500 years. And all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Wow. Wow. I'd known that Furina's been sort of like tormented for a while, but I didn't really know exactly what that meant. I came into contact with Furina's tears. If I remember correctly, tears often contained being's strongest emotions. With sufficiently strong hydro sensitivity, I can form an emotional connection, just like I did with that Oceanid at the Fountain of Lucine. Wait, could this be Furina's inner world? Furina, what's she doing on stage? Wait a moment. That probably isn't Furina. That's likely a reflection of her inner self. If I can directly speak to that self, I might be able to easily get what I wanted to know. I came here for answers. Either way, this opportunity is not to be missed. Let me try talking to her. Wow. Okay, that's been pretty intense. We've been going for quite some time. I'm going to leave it here for now. Now that I've got kind of a chance to kind of maybe exit out the game for a bit, I can take a break. Yeah, thank you so much if you made it all the way through to the end of this one. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. Wow, a lot has been revealed. people did say that some interesting things were going to happen. They certainly did. Well, I'll be interested to speak to Furina very soon. But we'll leave that to the next one. Thank you for watching. Please do join me for the next one to find out more about what's going on. And I'll see you then. Goodbye.